All right, so today we're going to start with the learning outcome 4. So it basically says that how you have to develop an integrated HR strategy to support sustainable business performance and growth. It's similar to what we've been speaking about in the previous learning outcomes, in the sense how HR strategy has to align with the business goals. But over here, the only difference is that how it can even support and promote growth and performance as a whole. So it can just encourage the business as a whole to work towards their actual goals and how they can be in a position that is much better than what they are probably a year later. So not just being in alignment with business goals, but also pushing them to do better. This is something that we're going to be talking about. There are many slides that we have to go through, but it's going to be quicker because we have gone through that information already. So I'm going to skim through information that we've already covered in the previous sessions. But if you have any doubts and need me to stop and explain something again, I'm very happy to do so. Just tell me to do so. So I have a video over here that explains how HR strategies and business strategies work together. Similar to what we spoke before, just a quick video, and then I'll start with the slides. Just give me a second. Let me know if you can't hear my audio.
Okay.
Organizations use consultants to advise them on HR-related. Small organizations use consultants to advise them on HR-related issues, or sometimes they outsource their HR functions. But in large organizations, HR functions will be highly structured. Whether an organization is large or small, HR strategy of that organization needs to be linked with its business strategy. But this is not always the case. In some organizations, there's no link between the HR strategy and business strategy. This situation is known as separation model. In other organizations, business strategy is developed first and then HR strategies. This situation is known as fit model. In some organizations, HR strategies can influence business strategies to some extent. This situation is called dialogue model. Another situation is holistic model. In a holistic model, HR strategy and business strategy are developed together. Finally, HR-driven model. In the HR-driven model, HR strategies drive the development of the business strategy.
We're using way too many platforms for work.
So this gives a better idea on how strategies look like and how they can be developed. So it's not always that HR strategies might go hand in hand with business strategies. Sorry, I have a sore throat today, so bear with me. It can also be cases wherein, the strategy was built later, or like today, we're going to usually mostly focus on the dialogue model, wherein how HR strategies can influence or support business growth and performance. So that's how different strategies work, and it varies from organizations as well, right? Organization size, what type of organization is it a tech IT industry, because there you need faster decisions, proactive decisions, wherein probably an education institute would have, slower, composed, because you're looking at slow but long-term goals. So probably in an IT company, the HR strategies would have to be changed every 1 year or every 7-8 months. But in an education institute, you might have an HR strategy for for 5 to 10 years, like we spoke about the LSE model yesterday, the case study, how they had 5 different pillars over there, and that was for the next 5 to 10 years, keeping in mind. We're going to be talking about the indicative content now. So basically the features and justification of an integrated HR strategy, how the HR function and the practitioners need to act as strategic partners. So within HR, there's something called as HR business partners. So these are people in an organization that specifically focus on different sectors over there. So the business partners, for example, one business partner is assigned to the marketing department, another business partner is assigned to the sales, another one is assigned to logistics. Every business partner or HR business partner, HRBP, is supposed to make sure that in the organization, within the organization, that specific part is working properly. So if I'm in charge of the marketing department, I will keep having continuous meetings with the marketing manager. All of the associates are doing well. If an associate is sick, then am I having proper well-being meetings with them? So that is how HR acts as strategic partners for the business. And then you have the contingency perspective and resource-based view of HRM. We spoke about these in the first session and the second session as well, where we spoke about contingency theory and resource-based view, and how it is important for a competitive advantage. So you're focusing on making changes to basically influence the HR initiatives. And then how HRM is supporting sustainable business performance and growth. So we saw that yesterday as well, and the previous lecture, that how a strategy needs to go hand in hand firstly with the business goals, and how it can help. So it can make changes to the strategies to help better. And then we have the HR initiatives to be tailored to an organization's specific circumstances and strategic objectives. So as we said, that HR strategies need to be proactive, quickly changeable. It needs to be adaptable to the specific organizations, because anytime a specific circumstance can change and things can go haywire, you need to have a proper HR strategy in place, even when, or basically a contingency theory in place to have or to approach such, difficult situations as well. And then you have primary concerns while adopting a strategic approach. So basic concerns obviously are, firstly, finding the right people, then having a proper effective workforce through communication and reward. So if you don't reward your workforce correctly and communicate with them what you need from them or what the goals of the business are, why are they working? So if you have an organization and you have associates just aimlessly working, it's not going to ever function. You need to give them a purpose. You need to explain them that why are you doing this specific job? So eventually where we want to get, that will push and motivate associates. And how we spoke about the cafe as the example, wherein proper reward planning was done in advance. That is why the associates or the people working in the cafe, they did not complain even if the workload got high. Then you have to manage the talent through training and development. We spoke about this. And how we manage and evaluate employee performance. So we had these performance management systems, and we spoke about the advantages and disadvantages of it as well. And need for complementary and mutually supportive HR initiatives. So all of the HR initiatives should obviously, again, mutually support the business as a whole, and should complement the business HR strategies. And just having a proper work culture that associates understand why a specific strategy is put into place and they're supportive of that. Then detailed integrated HR strategy. Basically, you are focusing on correct skill sets of people instead of them being able to work as a group. So we spoke about few traits that we look at while hiring. How if you're focusing on someone who can be in harmony with the group, you're hiring such a person and then looking at training them later, or you're going to get the correct person and who has the perfect skills required to do that job, and then just hope for the best and see that they actually be in harmony with the others in the business. And then you have benefits package. So we spoke about intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. Sorry, it's difficult for me to pronounce that two words for some reason. So I explain how intrinsic, it's inside. So it comes from within. So you have psychological factors influencing it. It's inside your head. Those are the reward factors. So you're giving them, just engaging them better, telling them you're doing a good job. Sometimes you have these employee programs that go on, whereas extrinsic motivating factors are X means outside, like external. So you need to pay them more, you need to give them a reward benefit, you need to probably give them a bonus. That is how it works. So I remember the words through in and X. That's how I remember it. Then you have the employee relations initiative. So what that helps in, that you ask the employees if this specific strategy or changes that was made was beneficial or not, and want their perspective on that. So, when you're setting certain objectives or you're having performance reviews, you're evaluating them against the KPIs. So you're having a look at the key performance it's key performance strategies, and then having an evaluation saying, all right, this is how employee relations work. You're having a proper relationship with the associate, so the employee feels that he's been heard or she's been heard, and the company actually cares about them. So that's important as well. Then you have the strategic integrated HR strategy, which basically has the selection of staff based on values and competencies. So, like I mentioned, someone who might not have all of the skill sets, but someone who would work perfectly well in that space. So, for example, in the marketing department, you have people working in between the age group of 30 to 40, and they are highly focused, really proper, nice department. And then you want to put in someone who's probably a 55-year-old person, might not have all of the fresh ideas coming in, but might have the values that are needed for the business. Then rewards and benefits that meet employee needs. So you obviously need to have proper rewards and benefit strategies in place, and different initiatives that you involve associates in. So you can have CSR initiatives wherein you tell them that, all right, if you're worried about the environment, you're really passionate about it, fair enough, we can do a drive. Or some involvement, like you're in the UK, certain businesses have started this during the Pride month. I think Pride month is September. During September, they start with this campaign. So they have a little march that you can do around on Pride Day. So they're just getting associates involved. Like even associates from the LGBTQ community feel that the business is actually caring about them. It might not be the biggest thing that you're doing. It's literally a small thing wherein you're supporting that parade, the LGBT parade, but it still makes them feel involved and loved. And then obviously over here you focus on development and training as well, and career opportunities, because you hired someone who might not have all of the skills but values the business a lot. And setting smart objectives. So sorry, what happened? I went down. Just give me a second. Yeah, so you have setting smart objectives and use of performance management system. So you have a performance management system in place. You're looking at that system and you're saying, all right, Archie today did a really good job, so she should be given more rewards. She can do better, so we're not going to give her the most. Whereas Nandesh, we can see that he went from his targets like almost doubled. So we need to pay him way more than needed now, because that's going to push him to do better. So that's something, or how the performance management system works and how rewards are allocated. And there are different factors that influence employee and organizational performance. So you have obviously internal factors, external factors, you have the business environment, you have what's going on in the market. So moving on, talking about the features and justification of an integrated HR strategy. So you have strategic partnership, and we spoke about this in our previous sessions as well, how HR function acts as a strategic partner. So I spoke about the HRBP just above, and also how it has to align with the overall business strategy. So this is one thing that we always have to keep in mind. HR strategy, business strategy needs to be aligned. HR strategy can push the business strategy to do better, get more growth, get a better performance, and need to ensure that the initiatives that are coming are looking for the overall success of the goals of the business. Then contingency perspective and resource-based view. So when you incorporate some contingency and resource-based view in human resource management, it basically means that the HR strategies need to be proactive and adaptable, and they continuously have to change. So it probably works in a fast or growing organization where strategies need to continuously change and make improvements too. And it just sees how human resources are valuable to the organization's asset, contributing to competitive advantage. So this explains how HR strategies are so valuable that they are the asset over there. That's why people invest in the HR department so much. That's why we have human resource business partners assigned to specific departments. That's why you have people in HR making those really complicated decisions. I worked somewhere previously, and it was such a simple thing, actually. It was a big business, and it was updating its dress code policy. So it said that it was in the UK, actually, and the dress code policy said that casual dressing is allowed, but everyone came in hoodies, especially during the winter. And it was such a simple decision. It would not even make sense. But when you think about it from an HR perspective, we spoke that, all right, so we have visits, or we have visitors that come in, we have different partners that come in, they see the business on how it's working and how it's growing. Yeah, we are okay with casual dressing, but when they come in and they see everyone wearing hoodies and casually dressed, it doesn't give the formal perspective that we want to put across. We want to put across that we are a serious organization that achieves its targets, gets work done, is a beautiful, you can partner with us because we want more partners. So when we have people or visitors coming in and looking at our associates wearing hoodies, that might give the wrong impression. For this one decision, I remember we spoke for 3 weeks before the change to the policy was made. And it comes across as such a silly thing that, all right, how does it matter? But when slowly everyone started giving their inputs and the business partners came together as well, and we realized that we might have to actually put a clause saying hoodies, avoid wearing hoodies, or for some people who are comfortable wearing just comfortable clothing, how can we make a different approach? So these are such basic decisions, but when you look at the bigger picture, it influences the business a lot. Then you have to be in alignment with the business strategy. Again, we've been talking about this since a while now. Make sure that the HR strategy is supporting the business strategy and long-term success, and then tailoring to specific circumstances. Again, how it can be adaptable, proactive, and maybe a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work always, because it's important to tailor HR practices to the specific needs of a business. A small business might need another business strategy, wherein a larger organization might need a different strategy, and that might not work for all. And also, it also matters because each business has its own goals and objectives. So a small organization might have, all right, I want to get 50,000 rupees in sales next year, just an example. Whereas a big organization might have, I want to have 50,000 crore rupees. So you can't really use the same strategy everywhere. It's like for kids, you can't use the same approach in raising a kid everywhere. One kid might be more, wants to argue more, whereas another one would be really calm. Not the same approach everywhere. Enhanced organization performance. So obviously, HR strategies help with the organization business and goal. And if a company's strategy is really innovative, so HR strategy can change in the way that, all right, now we're looking at hiring associates which have, creative and changeable skills or transferable skills. Why transferable? That's the word I'm using, because I might be good at, say, speaking, all right? And I've joined a business as an HR person, doing really well. And after a point, probably after 7-8 years working in the organization, I come to a stagnant position where I'm like, all right, I think I've gained the most from this business. How to keep associates engaged by using their transferable skills is really important. That's where HR gets creative as well. So maybe they put me in the marketing department for a week, and just gives me a perspective that, all right, if I want to change or want to grow or want to do something different, I can be an HR business partner for the marketing team, because maybe I'm good at speaking, I understand what they want to sell, I understand how they work and function. I would be interested to support them and their strategies and push them towards their goals. So bigger organizations would have business partners assigned to each department, and then those business partners would look at not just the business strategy, then will also look at that specific department strategy. For example, if I am assigned to the marketing department, that I'm going to align my HR strategy, specifically for the marketing department, not as a business as a whole, just the marketing department, by looking at the marketing department strategies in place and then aligning everything together. So in big organizations, they make things smaller, basically. It doesn't work for everyone then that way. It makes department-wise decisions after the point. Obviously, there are overall decisions and strategies that are in place, but even smaller ones are put into place as well. Then you have talent acquisition and retention. So the talent acquisition team, is responsible for getting the best talent or the cream of the crowd, and also how to retain those people. So if you've hired someone in, say, a call center job, yeah, it's a boring job. You need to talk to people the entire day, say the same thing again and again. You might have customers not answering the calls. You might have customers being rude. How do you retain people? You've hired them, okay, but how do you keep them there? Because after a point, they're going to get bored. They're going to be like, no, this is just too tedious for me. I can't do it. So it's important to come with retention strategies by probably giving them a proper benefits package, or, compensating them fairly, giving new initiatives in place so that they're entertained in the business as a whole along with doing their job. And yeah, so not just recruiting the perfect talent, but also keeping sure that they stay and not the turnover rate is less. Then you have effective workforce management. So obviously you've hired people. Now, how do you manage them properly? You talk to the associates, you communicate the business goals, give them a proper rewards package and benefits package. That's how you maintain the workforce. And how do you get feedback from them? Give them some, bonus at the end of the year, or a Christmas bonus, some recognition programs. We spoke about all of this. And that's how you will have an effective workforce and also manage it really well. Then talent management and development. We spoke about how training and development initiatives are really crucial. You hired someone, but you want to keep developing them. No one wants to be in a stagnant position. Everyone wants to keep growing. So how do you help them grow? Give them better training, give them all this resources required to do their job better. That's how they grow. And just keep giving them, learning options that, all right, you want to grow, you can learn this, do this training. That's how you can, retain their associates. Then you have performance management systems. So how performance management systems are crucial to determine the associate's job role as well, because depending on his performance, on how well the associate is doing in the business after probably 6 months of being in the business, it shows that how to make clear objectives for them, like, yeah, this is what you're going to work towards. And you have, performance reviews, you have catch-up meetings with your manager, you are asking, or telling your manager that, all right, I might need help with this. I think I'm pretty okay with completing this task on my own. So that's how performance management system really helps and puts things into place. Then you have complementary HR initiatives. So you need to ensure that the initiatives are holistic, means including everyone, and in synergistic approach. So in synergy with the HR management, which we spoke already. Then HR planning informs, so basically the HR planning department will let the talent management team know that, or the TA team, that what kind of associates we're looking at and how we need to make sure that the associates that are coming in are developed properly and are managed properly. Their performance is kept into place and checked. So that's a coordination that's done with the HR team and the other departments in the organization. You have organizational cultural support. So basically just having a culture of harmony in the organization, or different organizations have different cultures. You might have some organization which has a relaxed culture. Some organizations might be no, it's just come in, do your job, not much interaction between associates, difficult formal dress code, no flexibility or work flexibility in terms of working from home. So as an HR team, you should encourage, collaboration amongst different um, associates working in the organization, because that helps with, better ideas. For example, you and me are working in an organization and we come up with, all right, this is my process. This is how I have to get my task done. You tell me your process. And we decide that, what, we can actually make both these processes so much simpler if we align these together. We can come up with a plan in place with, a shared Excel sheet in place on how we are tracking certain things. So it gives innovative ideas to associates when they speak with each other and understand each other's understand each other's job roles, but also helps associates to think outside of just their job role and understand the business better as a whole as well. So if you learn what your other associates are working on as well, you'll understand how everything aligns to the overall business strategy in the end. You have the strategic integrated HR strategy. So you have basically new or high level of strategies that are focusing on employee needs, employee development, all the organization's values. So that's when you have the TA team hiring people not just based on the skill sets, but also based on how they would work when they come in, or how would they fit the mix. Like I spoke about yesterday, the jar of candy. You have blue candies, and if you put a red one inside, how is it going to function and be in harmony with them or not? So basically, integrated HR strategies, it combines, different features, and basically should align with the organization goals and how it can maximize that and overall can make it more effective as a whole. Then you're looking at the primary concerns when adapting a strategic HR approach. So when you're adapting a strategic HR approach, you have different concerns that come in. You have a lot of discussion before you adapt a specific strategic approach, because it's going to influence how the business is going to function and work. And these are addressed by obviously the strategic business partners in the human resource department. But just an example of how it's going to go through or how it looks like. So you find and retain the right people through HR planning. So it's not just about, finding the right people. All right, you found them. They have the skills, they're doing their job. How do you make sure that they stay in that position and don't want to get out, or don't get, drained with the position that they're in? So not just the right talent, but also different planning decisions on keeping them or retaining them. Then you have maintaining an effective workforce. So this is similar to what we spoke about above in the slides. We have a proper communication system. We're transparent with our associates. They know about the goals. They're getting they're compensated fairly in terms of getting different rewards, and also getting benefits along with their rewards. They might have some extra benefits. They might have, access to the company car. Some benefits might not even be such a big benefit, but it helps an associate so much. One of the benefits can be for a new mother, basically, that all right, you can work from home on a Wednesday because you don't have anyone to pick your child from school, and you can go out for an hour and pick him and come back, or pick her and come back. So that's such a small change or a small advantage that we're giving to the associate, but it makes their life so much easier and makes them feel that, wow, okay, this business actually cares about me and wants me. That's why they're making certain changes, or as we call it, flexible work arrangements for me. So I should make sure that I am giving them enough and doing my best when I'm working. Then you have managing talent through training and development initiatives. So we spoke about how we develop our talent continuously. If you don't hire the people in the right skill sets, you give them the correct training for them to grow. And then that's how you have an entire pool of skilled and high potential employees that can meet the organization's future needs in the end. Then you're managing and evaluating employee performance using performance management system. Again, just spoke about that in the previous slides. Good performance management system keeps the associates in check, helps them to do better, pushes them because you have a strategy in place in terms of, all right, you want to have weekly catch-ups with your manager, understanding what your job you're doing. Fair enough, that helps for certain associates, you can do that. And giving them proper rewards and promotions and development plans as well. Then you have, the need for complementary and mutually supportive HR initiatives. We spoke how, HR initiatives should be supportive to the business initiatives so that, whatever planning, talent management, performance management is taking place, eventually keeping the business goals in mind. Then you have developing an organization culture that supports the business strategy. So again, every business might have a specific strategy, yeah? And every business has a specific working culture. So how HR can modify or change the culture based on the change in the business strategy is also a very crucial role that HR plays. So you're aligning the organization goals to basically have, a specific set of behavior or values that are needed in that organization. Like I spoke about the example that everyone was wearing hoodies and come in, yeah? So the change that, that we made to the dress code policy would basically mean that people would have to come in wearing formals. And that itself might change the working culture of the organization as well. Just by seeing someone sitting in a hoodie and, slouching their back and working on the desk might give an impression, not saying that it always does, because sometimes, it doesn't matter what you're dressed as, you're still doing, the best job over there. But from an outsider's perspective, it gives a very relaxed atmosphere, wherein now that everyone's dressed formal, dress smart, wearing shirts and trousers and coming in, it gives a very a serious approach to the organization, even though it doesn't matter how someone performs on the way they're dressed. So all of these concerns that we spoke about eventually talks about how HR management should be done in a way that is needed and goes with all of the HR functions of the organization as well, and the goals of the organization in the end. And by addressing all of this at the end, businesses can help retain and attract more better talent. So like yesterday, I gave an example wherein there were different videos that an institute posted out talking about how their associates feel when they're working in that specific organization, how their day-to-day looks like. And that made me basically feel like, okay, you know what, this looks like a fun organization. This looks like a place that would be really supportive of me and would, give me the resources to grow and do better as well. So that's how, changing a few certain things can retain associates or attract associates to apply for that specific job role, and also helps in the long-term success of the business. Then you have the detailed integrated HR strategy, wherein we speak about, forecasting, recruiting, and selecting. So the objective of this is we need to see what the workforce needs in the future and attract the right talent. So, you have workforce planning that's done in place, and you have different strategies wherein you're looking at recruiting only the best of the cream of the crowd and top talent. Then you have a selection process wherein, you are basically having different people who have applied for your organization, and you're assessing them based on both their skills and how are they going to fit when they join the business, and how is it going to be, changing the business culture when they join the business. And then you design work to retain staff. So you create a work environment that helps in employee retention, yeah. So I gave an example of how you can conduct, stay interviews, wherein after 6 months of working in the organization, associates are conducted, different interviews are conducted, wherein you're asking them that, okay, how do you feel working since the last 6 months? What do you think can change? What do you think can, we can give you more, or as a resource we can provide so that you can do better in your job role? So that's wherein you're doing a small initiative so that employees retain in business and there's less turnover rate. And then you obviously change the job or design it in such a way that is interesting to the associate. So someone who might be good with Canva, say, you need to design their job role in a way that they're using Canva the most. Canva is an editing software wherein you can edit different pictures, and it's used in marketing basically. Or someone might be good with coding, so you need to see how coding can be put into place, and how their job role has probably 40-50% of coding done every day, so that that's what interests them, that's what motivates and pushes them to do better. Then how you can implement flexible working arrangements. I gave an example of how you let a new or just new mother go and work from home on a Wednesday because she doesn't have anyone to take care of her kid after she picks up her kid from school. She's doing the same job she's doing from the office, but at home for one day, and it might not make much of a difference to the overall business because she's anyways doing her job, but to her it might mean so much because it saves her money on childcare. Basically, she might have to hire someone to take care of the child. It might save her that money. So that's how you can implement flexible working arrangements. Sometimes you can speak about flexible working arrangements before even hiring them. So someone might be colorblind and might need a specific screen to function, or to see things properly. So the business puts these things in place even before they join their organization, because that's something they've told us during the interview process. And they might have all of the skills, and this is where HR is important also in not being discriminatory, wherein not just because he might need an extra screen or basically two screens to work. There are special screens that come into place for people who suffer from colored blindness, wherein you see things in a different way or a different font as well. So you might have to do that. Just because of that, you will not hire someone who might be the perfect fit for the organization. So that's where talent acquisition team needs to be open to having a diverse set of people joining the community or the business. And obviously provide different opportunities for career development and skill development as well. Then you have a benefit package which recognizes intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. Again, intrinsic, psychological, or inside of you, how you think when someone tells you you're doing a good job, that makes you feel proud of yourself, that makes you feel that, all right, I need to do a better job now, makes you feel good. So intrinsic. And extrinsic rewards are external, so a better reward package, better benefits, that way. So how you develop a comprehensive package wherein both of these are properly mixed well. So you put in competitive salaries and you have a mix of them. So you give them recognition for your work and, tell them that they did a good job, or, give them some. I spoke about how a business had these system wherein they used to give like these little points which motivated associates. And they also need to have a mix of external rewards as well, like compensation and benefits package should be really good, or a pension plan should be really good. So yeah. You have the employee relations initiatives wherein you have positive relationship between the employee and organization. So good communication and, good resolution. If they have any issues, it's easily resolved. And how you take feedback from associates and get them involved as well. So they feel that, okay, you're not just aimlessly making decisions, but you're keeping or asking my suggestions as well. So it makes me feel like I'm being valued, because you've taken my feedback and only then made these specific changes to the business or to the HR strategy. Then you have ongoing learning and knowledge sharing. So how to promote continuous learning and knowledge transfer. So you continuously need to promote that in the business and make sure that associates keep doing that. How is that even possible? Better training programs. You have a knowledge sharing platform, a mentorship program. in the early stages of my career, I was involved in a mentorship program in one of my businesses, and I feel that was the most important thing that happened in my career. I had this mentor, and she was this woman. She was in the top of the business. You have the management um people that are, the top 10 of the business probably. She was one of the people in the management team, and she was my mentor. I had weekly catch-ups with her of 1 hour each. What we spoke about was how my work is going, and she just spoke about how she worked when she was in the early stages of her career as well. And that helped me so much, because that gave me this power or this fire inside of me to push and do better, because I saw myself 15 years down the line being in a position she was in, being successful, being in the top, making these really high challenging decisions. And I also used to ask her about how these decisions are made, and how do you even, come up with these fresh ideas? How do you manage your work stress and your, how do you manage work-life balance? Because when you're in such a high position, sometimes you have to take your work home. You're working till 8, 9 in the night. How did she manage everything? And mentorship programs play such an important role, because your mentors are, so mentorship is confidential. It's always amongst yourselves. You have issues with them, issues with, certain people, or if you have an issue with your manager, you can speak to your mentor, and your mentor will give you suggestions on how to do a better approach, or how to make certain changes so that you function better with your manager, something like that. So I feel mentorship programs are really important in businesses to understand associates to do better. Then you have objective setting and ongoing performance reviews and KPI evaluation. So you have different objectives that should be set, because if you don't give objectives, or don't let associates know what are they working towards, they're going to be pretty confused and aimless on how they need to focus and function. That's why good management is important, wherein managers can push associates under them that, all right, this is what your objective is for this week, this is how you need to complete it. You have ongoing performance review, so you have probably a performance review every year or every 6 months, when you're telling them that you're doing a good job in this places, but maybe you need, or there can be a chance of improvement in these specific places. And then we spoke about how you can set smart objectives and conduct regular reviews, have key performance indicators that are put in place, and you evaluate the performance through that. And then select staff based on values and competencies. So we spoke about this up, how, you hire someone who might align with the values and goals of the business, but might not always have the right skill set. So that's wherein you need to give them more training. Then you have a rewards and benefits meeting for employee needs. So you tailor your rewards to meet the diverse employment needs. So maybe, currently you have a reward system or a benefit system which has, I'll give you an example, a very good pension as a benefit, okay? But your workforce comprises of probably young people, or Gen Zs mainly, or people from the age group of 22 to 30. I feel personally that you should always have a good pension plan in place. But when you're in your 20s and 30s, people working in that age group might not, their motivation would not be a good pension plan in place. Their motivation probably would be, if the business cares enough about them, and, a business has a mental health check session in place or not, wherein, every 6 months you have someone checking up on you and be like, all right, how do you feel? Is the workload okay? Are you mentally all right? Maybe that will motivate young associates more compared to a good benefit, a good pension package. So that's how you tailor your benefits to the diverse needs of the employee or the employees in the organization. And you also conduct different surveys. So through surveys, that helps you a lot. Like I was talking about these interviews that you can conduct. I worked for a business that also conducted exit interviews. So when an associate has given their notice, and they're like, all right, this is my 2-week notice or 1 month notice, they used to conduct an exit interview with them, and the questions were like, you know, what went wrong, basically, how could we do better, how we can make different changes, and what was the reason that, the main reason that you're leaving. Was it the benefit package? Was it you're not compensated well? Was it the workload? Or was it your team that you couldn't function with? So these are different questions that they used to ask, that when you have so much data, you understand that, okay, there's a trend, that there are all associates that the turnover rate is so high because they say that they're not being fairly compensated for the job that they're doing and the workload that they're getting. So then, as an overall business and an HR strategy, you might have to look at having a better compensation plan in place, and a compensation plan which aligns with the different competitors. So if it's an IT company, you're looking at different IT businesses in the market and seeing what their compensation plans are, and then aligning it similar to them, so that in the market you have that competition, you're ruling that out by having a similar compensation plan then. And obviously customize the benefits package as well. Someone might need, a good flexible working arrangement, say, like I spoke about the mother working from home on Wednesday, wherein someone might need, a travel allowance in place. So every person has a different benefit that might motivate them. So how do you even produce an integrated HR strategy? So just understanding how that's done. So firstly, you have to understand the organization's goals, and you have, a strategic analysis that you do, looking at the current state of the organization. Then you're looking at what the targets of the organization are and where the organization wants to be, and how, changes to the industry or the trends going around, and the competitive dynamics. So you're looking also at the data for external factors, and you're making a decision based on that as well, and not just your internal business factors and goals. And then you have to establish an HR as a strategic partner. So I spoke about how HR plays a key role in achieving the organization's goals. And if you have HR as a strategic planning partner instead of just HR, it helps. Basically, I was talking about the HR business partner. That's what they're trying to say. So it just helps to have a collaboration between HR and the other departments. So every department has an HR business partner that is assigned. So that's how that, other departments can raise their concerns to that specific business partner, and they can take care of that. And then you have a contingency perspective and resource-based view, as we spoke. Needs to be proactive, needs to be adaptable. And, firstly, a resource-based view was use all the resources that are in the organization first, and, see human capital and see how we can get advantage from that first. And how HR practices align with the organization's capabilities. Then you tailor the HR initiatives, wherein you're customizing the HR initiatives to that specific organization's goals. And also looking at the trends in the market and the competitors in the market, you're changing your business strategy accordingly. And that's why it has to be flexible and adaptable. Whereas, your key concerns that come into place is firstly finding the right talent, and then having a proper communication system and a reward system with associates. So, you have to have all of these concerns in place beforehand. And how talent management can be done better through training and development. So if you hire someone who values the business but might not have the proper skill sets, this is where training and development opportunities need to be in place. Then you have a proper performance management system that can help as well. We spoke about all of this. Talking about the detailed integrated HR strategy, wherein you have, forecasting, recruiting, selecting. Then you have designing the work to retain staff. So having these, little arrangements for them so that there is good retention of staff and good benefit package and reward package. We've gone through all of this. So that's why I'm skimming through quicker. Then you select based on value and competencies, as we spoke. And then we see how the rewards and benefits are meeting the employee needs. And we get employees involved in the different initiatives as well by taking their input in decision making as well and their suggestions. And then you adapt to, specific factors. So you regularly assess. So after putting a strategy in place, you need to check if it's working correctly or not. And is it, adapting to the external environment as well, and economic conditions. And how is it addressing these specific challenges that we were going through or not, or helping basically in the long run or not. And then you continuously monitor it and evaluate it. You're looking at the KPIs and seeing that is it being effective or not, or that strategy, is it helping or not? Because after you implement a specific strategy, within the next probably 2-3 months, you would get an idea if your strategy is successful or not. Sometimes it might take more, depends on the strategy as well, but just an example. And you look at different metrics to make sure that the strategy is in alignment with the business goals and is working in harmony and not causing, a negative impact instead. So yeah, by following these steps, an organization can create a suitable business strategy, or an HR strategy, that can help in the long-term growth of the business. And that has to be also regularly monitored and probably even changed if needed. Then you're looking at how to produce a strategic integrated HR strategy, which will support sustainable objectives of long-term organizational growth. Again, very similar to what we have gone through, so going to be quicker. So you're understanding the organization's vision or the long-term goals of the organization. Then you have an environmental analysis wherein you're looking at all of the external factors apart from the internal factors of the organization. You're looking at a pestle analysis wherein you're going through every little external factor and understanding how that strategy is going to change things. You're looking at the organization's capabilities. So once you put that strategy in place, is the organization capable, or how much can it even grow? Like a little small cafe, if it wants to grow, it has to expand or get a bigger place. So you're looking at all and keeping that in mind as well. And while you're hiring as well, you're looking at getting the correct skills that are people coming in and have the competency to work correctly. Then you're looking at a strategic workforce planning, which is you are anticipating the future talent and needs and the skills required for the growth and hiring people in such a way. You have talent acquisition and recruitment, wherein you're attracting the proper talent and recruiting them correctly. And employee development and training programs, wherein because you want to enhance the skills, because someone might not have the correct skills, that's how you develop and train them. You have succession planning, wherein you have planned for the important key processes in prior already. And also you're looking at a proper leadership program that's in place. So how you're looking at identifying specific associates that might be the future leaders in the organization going forward. And you need to nurture them accordingly. Then, you have an inclusive organization culture which supports diversity and inclusion, basically. So you're hiring people in from a diverse community and not discriminating. Performance management for growth. Keep setting targets, keep having regular feedback sessions. You have different performance management softwares in place that helps in the growth of the organization. And how you manage or keep employees engaged and also eventually retain associates for less turnover rate. So all of these different strategies help in the overall business growth in the long run and how it supports the business objectives. And, just regular assessments and feedback can really help and can help in the success of the organization. Moving forward again, how to produce a justified integrated HR strategy. So over here, you're looking at KPIs and long-term. We have spoken about this again. So I'm going to quickly skim through this. Oops, I moved it. Yeah. You have a strategic workforce planning wherein you anticipate and meet the needs of the future talent. So you've gone through all of the KPIs and, so time to fill critical positions, skill gap analysis. So time to fill critical positions, self-explanatory, wherein you are seeing in what time frame you need to fill this specific job role, and that's where HR is pressurized into hiring the right person in this specific time frame. And then skill gap analysis, wherein you're hiring someone might be good in the organization, but you also need to manage what skills that they're lacking so that they can get proper training for that. And that's how you support the long-term growth of the organization. Then talent acquisition and retention. Again, hiring the best of the talent. For the KPIs, you're looking at the quality of the hire. If the people that you're hiring are the top cream of the crowd or not, and how much does it, the recruitment cost. Recruitment cost would basically mean, different softwares that are put into place, AI softwares for recruitment. Then you have the cost of how many people are working towards hiring one person. So you have 5 recruiters working towards one goal. So that's a cost as well, because you're paying those 5 recruiters. So yeah, high quality talent is required for better success and growth. That's definitely. Then you have succession planning, wherein you're planning for the future and also leadership development. We spoke about this, how you're looking at the future leaders and tracking employees. Inclusive organization culture, again, diversity, harmony among associates, employee satisfaction, that just helps and promotes, and supports the overall business growth and engagement level. Performance management for growth, you're basically managing associates so that they are pushed to do better, they are achieving their goals, they are really satisfied. You have employees that are satisfied with the performance feedback, so you're giving them feedback on how they're doing so that they can be pushed to do better. So all of these different little strategies that are put into place, keeping different KPIs into place. So you're looking at specific KPIs over here. So every strategy had 2 KPIs in place. So that helps in the long-term organizational growth. And regularly monitoring that will also help, because once you put a strategy in place, you need to keep monitoring it in terms of, is any change required? Are they needed to make this specific adaptable situation in place? So you have to make changes accordingly on the spot. So yeah, this is the end of today's session. Unless you have any questions for me, we can end this right here. So Nandesh, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for the session.
No problem. I'll see you next weekend.
Okay, so the assignment briefs would be also issued next week.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna do that next week.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye.
Bye.